What's up, y'all? We got ourselves some special riding today. Hopefully I don't die. It's the first time riding. It's FZ09 2016 from my buddy Galpers. It's feel like sumo. Hold on, let me adjust these mirrors. Oh no, a memento. I don't know if I can see with these damn things. This bike is way different. Oh man, seating position's different. Clutch, brake. The hell's my heel? Alright. Awkward. Almost died. This is freaking crazy. Like, I feel like it's very similar to riding Gixxer Z1000. Like, I feel naked. I don't have my windscreen. Front tires really like vanishing out from in front of me. But what we're gonna do is gonna ride this puppy around. Good God, no ABS. And woo! Look at them brakes. Alright. This is something I gotta pay attention to because I might get dead. Clutch pull is not bad, it's a very nice clutch pull. So we're just gonna ride around, we're gonna try to review this puppy and not get dead, which is usually the goal of all my rides. But it's real thumpy. I can feel the thump. Oh man, power. And I got no back seat holding my cheeks on, which is weird because my seat likes to keep a brother where he's supposed to be. I don't want to fly off this thing. Close the talc hole. It's got a real smooth deceleration and engine braking. I think I'm in 30. It's got a gear shift indicator, which is pretty cool. Nice LCD screen. It's got A mode, B mode, and standard. B mode will be the rain mode, which decreases a lot of the power to the throttle when you roll on. Even under a harsh roll on, it will kind of stymie some of that juice to the rear wheel so you don't spin out. B mode is, oh, I'm sorry, that was B mode. A mode is pretty much all mode. It gives you all the juice all the time. Very torquey, lots of throttle, lots of torque, lots of wheelie potential, even inadvertently. And then standard mode, which is the mode I'm in right now, is the less twitchy throttle response. It's very similar to my mode 1 on my 2017 Ninja 1000, and it's pretty much the mode that I would like to be on a bike I've never ridden, and of course that I do not own. And I'll tell you what, this handlebar position is crazy. This bike does weigh less than mine. It's very flickable. He's also got very, very new Michelin Road Pilot 5s. Yeah, so he's got the super grippy Pilot 5s, and his bike does feel good in the transitions, as does mine, because those got brand new tires on my bike as well. So riding a different bike with brand new tires is going to pretty much be a really good sensation. I like his mirrors. They're as wide as mine. It's a different viewing angle, so it's hard to see. I do not have a foot rest for my heel. I have a kick plate which I can balance up against on the left and right side of my of the bike, but my heel on my bike has a place to sit that's right where the exhaust mounts are. So it gives a little bit of lazy riding. I don't have to manage my heels as much as most riders do. I can just kind of lean them up against that and be good to go. Very, very powerful acceleration. This is a 900 and something cc bike. I do not know the specs. I will of course try to put them in, maybe have a little scroll through of the actual specs for this bike, because I did not look them up prior to this video. But like I was saying before, he's got a digital display. He's got the Pro Taper aftermarket handlebar that myself and my other buddy Spider put on at his garage, mostly Spider because I showed up late because it was Father's Day and I was at home sitting in my night clothes eating Shogun, as all dads should. He's got aftermarket levers. Pretty nice. They're adjustable. They're not flippable like mine, so his bike's not as cool. There's a lot of gadgets and gizmos on my bike that this bike simply does not have, but that does not take away from the riding experience. Woo! Right in the taint. Sometimes I feel like it adds to it. Rider aids can be a little bit of a distraction sometimes, and when you don't have them, the pure riding power of the bike is generally what you focus on. And for the most part, all his controls and stuff are in the same position as mine. His hazard lights, of course, are on the right, which is very much different than mine. I do not have right-sided hazard lights. I have left-sided hazard lights because most of my controls are based for a rider who would be using his throttle hand. And I would not have time to be dinking around with the hazard lights on the left-hand side. Now, excuse me if I've taken a bit of pause while talking. New bike. Never leaned it over like this. Try not to get dead. But I seem to have survived, so I'll catch up with those dudes in a bit. I was being a little bit more cautious on this run because we were coming into a pretty hard right, and this traffic on Sunday is fairly ridiculous, but it's not like they're that far away from me. I will have no trouble catching up to them in like 0.2 seconds. Actually, let's use that to our advantage. Holy balls! Acceleration on this thing is pretty awesome. It's got a good amount of torque. I could feel the bike wanting to rip me off if I wasn't holding on to the handlebars for dear life, but it wasn't so bad that I was afraid. I just knew I had to compensate for the amount of torque. I am taking a lot of the brunt of the wind, just like I did when I was riding my buddy Jixer's Z1000, the naked bike. He has no windscreen, so I'm taking a crap ton of air to the chest, but it doesn't feel bad. I mean, he's got this like pseudo windscreen. It looks cool. It's like a, I don't know, putty knife, but it is not a full windscreen as I have, and of course I get spoiled. But so far this puppy's pretty nice. I'm gonna blink out and I'm gonna come back in with some more details, and we're gonna see how the rest of this video goes. Okay, so as you can see from the video, I took it through its paces, at least what I believe were its paces were for me riding this bike. Is a very different feel than what I'm used to. It's like I said earlier in the video, it's very similar to my buddy's C1000. This bike is very go sauce. It's aggressive. It's even when it's sitting still idling at the stop light or stop sign, if you slightly let off the clutch a little bit, this thing is like chomping at the bit to go. Kept it in standard mode, nice and smooth, but it is very aggressive. It is all pull, even when I'm in 6th gear. My bike, to me, feels like, you know, the snooty sister that, like, you know, nobody wants to hang around with because she likes to wear the shawls and the coats and all that fancy stuff, compared to when you go back and you go to your relatives and you're like, oh, yeah, I ain't changed, y'all still the same. This bike feels like grimy hoodness. Oh, emergency. Might have to pause the video. We'll see. We get off the road first. Oh, fucking dork. Wanted to make sure his GoPro was on. We're all gonna die because this douche doesn't know how to use his camera. But that's okay, we'll die together. Anywho, so talking about the bike and how fancy my bike is compared to some other bikes, this does have a digital display. It's got a bunch of different modes in which you can select, and in case we don't die. Did he stall? Let this fucking truck go by. It's being in my ass, douche nozzle. Okay, so God, I just wrote a whole bunch of stuff. Anywho, bike's got digital display. It's got a tachometer across the top of the display. It gets to redline the boot. 12K, 11K is the max, and then you're right before redline. Does not have a temperature gauge, from what I can tell. It does have a clock, and of course the speedometer integrated into it. I like riding this bike. So far it has been pretty fun. I do not like the sensation that I get with the naked bikes because I take a lot of wind to the chest. My neck is getting stressed out. My head's doing the bobblehead deal, but the grips are nice. This stance that I'm sitting on this bike feels very much like a push-up position or a bench press. Very wide, but also very comfy. The only part that's weird is I had to learn where to place my feet. I'm so used to getting on my bike, and I've memorized my bike's foot placement sections and areas, and I can just hop on my bike without issue. It took me a couple minutes of riding this before I got comfortable and being able to hold my feet in the proper manner to ride this bike appropriately. So, other than that, this thing is a champ. Would I pick it over my bike? Nope. I think I picked the right bike in the first place. I think I'm spoiled. I think I'm super spoiled. Even me and my buddy Gompers were conversing just a wee bit over the last few minutes when he was telling me how different his bike is from mine. He's like, man, this bike is butter smooth. I said, yes, sir. But would I down the MT or FZ09? I would not. It's an awesome bike. It's a lot of torque. It's a lot of power. It's a lot of go. And it's very aggressive with it. It's not more powerful than my bike. It's just more demonstrative of that power. Would I get one? If you gave me one, yeah. Would I ride it a lot? Probably not. I do not like that sensation. Like I said before, of the naked. I'm spoiled with the favorite bike. Spoiled with the windscreen. But it does sound good. It does ride good. It's very smooth. Engine braking's very smooth. The ABS, or the lack of ABS, is something I've been used to. My first two bikes didn't have ABS, so of course stopping at speed or slowing down at speed is much smoother than it is when you are going slow. But that makes sense. If you're going slower, it's a lot easier to stop. But this bike is very snappy on the slow speed stops. My bike feels spongy almost all the time, but it does still have its stopping power. Oh man, this is a good corner if there's not a freaking Silverado in it. And this bike is very good on the lean. So, appreciate you guys watching. This is not a super in-depth review. I did not put it through its paces as a mechanic or a very skilled motorcyclist would. I put it through its paces as I would as a normal rider. In fact, I don't even think I stress test this bike at all. This bike has a lot more in it than I can give to it because I'm not a professional rider. But for a normal person, if you were going to purchase this bike, just make sure you know that you will have to make full use of my buddy's TechSpec tank pads, because this bike will try to rip you off the back, and then when you slow down, the excessive or very aggressive braking, sorry, not excessive, will cause your giblets to run up on the tank if you don't squeeze those legs tight. Overall, very nice bike. I wish I could wheelie so I can wheelie this bike, but I cannot, so I will not. and I will catch you guys later.